Okay, so I'm gonna split you up into 4 groups. How many others?
23.
23. So about 6 in a group. So you, Ava over here, Jaren, Xavier, Leah, Jesse, and Grace over here. You 5 and Brett go right there.
Look, it's a camera right there.
You 5 right here.
Look.
Pick a group or 4. And then 4. Okay, so. Alright. Voices off. Let me explain what we're doing real quick. Okay, so I have 4 pictures right here. Alright, guys, make a circle. Make a circle.
Who's 6?
You guys have 6?
Yeah, there's 6.
Okay, Jaden. Jaden, come over there with them.
No, thank you.
And there's 6 over here.
Yep.
Okay, that'll be fine. Okay, there's 4 pictures for every group. Okay. Guys. And a hush fell over the room.
Can I ask the question? Did Mr. Josh ask you to pass out the pictures or touch them, or did he just say this is for your group? Okay, then just hang on to them and wait for the next bit of instruction. Okay, I know you're excited.
Okay, so you guys in your groups are going to make up a story using these 4 pictures. And it doesn't have to be super long. So what are the 4 pictures we have? We have a
Family,
A raccoon,
a park, and a dog.
Alright, let's try that again. Let's raise our hands this time. And I'll call on you. Aiden.
Raccoon, a family picture, a park, and a dog.
Yes. Okay, so we have a raccoon, we have a puppy, a family, and a park. So you are going to just make a small story within your group. Keep your voice. Our voice level is going to be at a 1, so it doesn't get too loud. But you're going to make. You got 2 or 3. And a hush fell over the room. Okay, I didn't say go yet. Wait for the last bit of instructions. So you're going to use these 4 pictures to make a story. You have like 2 to 3 minutes to do it. And it doesn't have to be super long. And then we're going to have one person from each group share their story. Okay? So you guys can go.
What do you think of first? No. A family and a dog in the park, and the dog chasing the dog. And the dog family is when she's in the park. I got one. Family went to the park and saw a dog. Yeah! No! No, my group's loud. I want to show you. Maybe the family in the park. Puppy and Jeremy. That's 3 and 3. Yeah. 3 and 3.
Okay, when you have your story, your voice level is going to be at 0.
Yeah. Me and Grace. I don't know. No, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, wait. No, you two have to go. You
That's no fair because I did it.
No,
she
I
saw what I did. Yeah, she saw what I did.
No, you just want yours. No. Okay, so we got okay, our side. Me and Jared. No, you and Jared. Ready?
Shoot.
Did you guys have your story and who's going to
Yeah.
present it?
Well, we don't like it. No, we do. Well, we want it. It doesn't matter. Actually, we didn't like it before. So, wait, no, it doesn't matter. No, he heard.
hush fell over the room? Let's try that one more time. And the hush fell over the room. I should hear no voices right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have one spokesperson from each group who's going to tell the story, and we're going to start with Gracie's group over here.
There was a family that got a dog. Then they went to the park. The raccoon was chasing the dog, and the family ran away.
Good job.
With
Okay,
the dog.
who's Jaden?
So the family bought a puppy. The puppy found a raccoon at the park.
Good job. Ava?
So the family went to the park, and then they saw a dog, and the dog was looking at the raccoon having a baby. What? That's what Sarah said. No, that's
really
different.
who's-
Yeah, that was way different.
And Aiden's going to tell our last story.
The family lost the dog. The dog went to the park and saw a raccoon.
Okay.
Sorry, Jaren and Ava. That was really hard to hear Aiden.
Say it one more time.
One more time, please.
The family lost the dog. The dog went to the park and saw a raccoon.
Okay, good job. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about sequencing words. Do you guys know what sequencing words are?
No.
You should. We have been learning about them. Does anybody have an example of what a sequencing word would be? Christian?
Family?
Not quite. Brett? Not quite. Do you guys know what sequencing words help us do?
No.
Describing words.
Hey, one second. Are you taking somebody?
Can I get Hunter for a couple minutes?
Yeah. Okay, so sequencing words help us tell a story. So, like, so an example of that would be like next or after. So, do you guys have any other examples of what a sequencing word would be? Jaden?
It's like in a story you have the beginning, the middle, and the end.
Yeah, it kind of helps us understand the flow of the story as we're reading. Well, do you have an example of one?
I think those words are like describing words, so like they can really imagine it in your head.
Kind of. You can. So it would be like, keep your story straight. It would be like if I told a story. The family found a dog. The raccoon went to the park. You can't really tell like what happened when, but I could be like at the beginning of the story, the family bought a dog, and then after that they saw a raccoon that went to the park. So you kind of tell what happened first. You saw that the family bought the dog, and then after that they saw a raccoon that was running to the park. So what you guys are going to do, keep that same story that you had, but I want you to add sequencing words to your story. Okay, well,
Can I make another one? Okay, you're which is a part
Or first.
they saw a dog. We're not gonna have that way. Now it's gonna be the other way that they planned. I don't like that. I did.
okay, so I'm
The dog went to the park and saw the raccoon.
Okay, so
Yeah, family dog park raccoon.
So you're not saying.
Don't use our voices in it. The family bought a
I
dog.
like that. So you after that,
That's violent. I like violence and funny. The family went the family bought a dog. Chasing after a raccoon. And No.
Are there any other sequencing words that you know that you can use?
Oh, okay. The family went to the park.
First, yeah.
And they brought a puppy. Then
What about
it's the family and the dog went to the park and saw that. First the family went to the pet store and bought the dog. And then they went to the dog.
Josie's got the right idea.
Last they saw raccoon.
See, Josie's got to get.
Chasing
You
the dog.
can tell what happened
Josie,
first.
you're reading it.
You can tell the family first went to the store, bought the dog, and then they went to the park, and lastly they saw a raccoon. And a hush fell over the room. Okay, Brett.
You can hear me touch your nose. You can hear me touch your shoulders. You can hear me touch your knees. It's really hard to be able to hear each other if you're still talking with your groups. We're not tapping on our knees. Listen to the next set of instructions.
Okay, so now that you've come up with your story with the sequencing words, we're gonna retell it. So Josie's gonna start.
First, the family went to the pet store and bought a puppy. Then they went to the park. Last, they saw a raccoon in the picture.
Good job. You sound good.
First, the family bought a dog. Then, the dog saw a raccoon at the park.
Yep.
Can I tell my story?
Are you guys listening? Are you guys listening? Who's about to talk?
First, there was a family dog.
It's not Josie. Hey, if we're not gonna listen, I'm gonna start taking away points. Okay? Or we already have started taking away points. We're gonna be taking away more points. We're not being very respectful to the people who are talking right now, so this is your warning. Gracie?
First, the family got a dog. Second, they went to the park. Last, they saw a raccoon chasing the dog. Then the last part, the family ran away.
Good job.
Okay.
Okay, and Brett?
The family lost the puppy. The puppy. Next, the puppy went to the park. Then the puppy saw a raccoon.
Good job. Do you guys see how sequencing words help us tell a story so that you can tell the flow of the story? Does that make sense? Okay. We're gonna introduce some new words. So what were some words that we used when we were telling our stories? Josie, what were some words that you used to tell your story? First, river.
Then.
Next.
Last.
I heard another one that meant last, but it started with this.
Finally.
Uh-huh. No, nobody needs to say then. We know your story's over because you stopped talking. Right? Because you probably said last or finally.
Finally, the dog or the end ran away. Beginning?
Okay.
I heard the end.
Good. Okay, so I'm gonna give you cards. Don't touch them. Leave them in the middle of your circle. And we're gonna learn 5 new words that help us tell a story. Okay, so now that they're all passed out, spread them out so you can see all of the words.
Can I? Spread them out so you can see them.
Yeah, just lay them out on the floor. You'll see that some are highlighted in purple.
Except of that big one. Can I touch them? Like this. Wait, no.
Okay, when you have all your words laid out, your voice level should be at 0. Okay, you see we have 5 words that are highlighted in purple. Somebody read off one of them. Cash. One that's in purple. Embark. That's one of them. Grace. Eventually. Ava. Presently. One in purple. So we've done eventually, presently, embark, previously, and Destiny. Occasionally. Okay, so those are the 5 words that we're going to learn today. And the words that are not highlighted are the definitions. I want you to do the best you can with your group to match the correct definition with the word.
Eventually will happen in the future. Sometimes and occasionally happened before.
I was playing.
What does this say? What is this? Eventually, I get to do mine. Are you gonna help me?
Okay, why don't you put them so you think these are just do that. One put them top and bottom.
Presently.
I want you to leave it in there so everybody can see.
Okay.
Happening right now.
No, actually,
Hey, when you have them matched up, your voice level should be at 0.
My fingers are
Hey, Clea.
How about we just take turns?
Alright, if you can hear me, touch your nose. If you can hear me, touch your shoulders. Does everybody have it matched up?
Yeah.
Okay. I need somebody to raise their hand and give me one word and its definition. Christian.
Sometimes and occasionally.
That's not your word though.
Happened before and previously.
Previously. Happened before, correct. Grace?
Sometimes and occasionally.
Sometimes and occasionally. Those two go together. River? Just a minute, River. Just a minute. Hey. We're not touching the cards. We're listening to River. Alright, River, what word do you have?
Is happening right now.
Good job. Ava, you have a word?
Will happen in the future.
Eventually will happen in the future. And what's the last one? This one's kind of a weird one. We don't usually use it. Austin?
And begin.
Yeah, embark means to begin. So, like, have you ever heard somebody say, like, embark on a journey? Or, like, so we begin a journey. Or we, but that's what embark means. Okay, so we're going to do this one more time. But the stakes are a little bit higher. I have chocolate for the people who can do it the fastest. Okay, so mix them up. Mix up your words. I'm going to check, make sure they're mixed up.
Chocolate. Let's keep that fast. Can you start now, Scott?
And when all voice levels are at 0, then I can start.
Guys, get over here. Go quickly. Guys, we want chocolate. Barking.
Okay, we haven't started yet. Aiden. We haven't started yet.
Let's don't get started. I can see the word. Oh my god, my finger. Well, that's what I have to do. Okay. We guys have to do it fast.
Okay, when voice levels are at 0, then we can start.
Guys, get your hands off of it.
Okay, we're gonna sit and wait until you're ready. Nope. They all have to start on a pile. And we're still waiting.
Christian. And we're gonna wait till everybody's voice is at a 0.
Leah and Jaren.
Okay, first one to match up the definitions correctly and the words gets chocolate. Ready?
What's your signal to them or you so they know when they're done? You want them to say
Okay, when you're done, I want everybody.
Say igloo.
Put their hands up.
Yeah, everybody put their hands up.
Everybody give their pass. Put your hands up when you're
We're
done.
gonna lose.
2 hands in the air.
No, not.
Wave around like you just don't care.
Ready, set, go.
Go.
You guys go.
Sometimes I need to practice.
Come on, guys. It's happening now.
No.
Alright,
Ready? I said put it down.
I think we lost.
alright, let me check.
Okay, keep going if you haven't done it.
You didn't do it.
I'm not done. They get in the mark. They go together.
Alright, good job. Okay, okay. How many are there? There's 6? Perfect. Alright, there's 6 pieces. Okay, can you guys pile up those words in your notes?
We got chocolate for getting this
And
done
then
fast.
hand them to me.
You were so bad.
Sharon, take a bite and then pass it on.
No. Never. We give you chocolate class. I'm taking it. I'm taking all y'all.
So did you guys do? What did you do here?
Whoever mashed them up. The fastest got chocolate.
Whoever managed
And
to.
Mark, you guys previous I know that. It tastes like carrot cake. That looks so. I don't like chocolate. So no, I'm licking the platform. It tastes like chocolate. It's white chocolate.
Alright, everybody find a dot.
We have to find a dot. No. You have to sit back where we were. No. I'm sitting anywhere.
Alright, everybody find a dot. And voice level is 0.
That literally tastes like carrot. That literally tastes like dark chocolate. Oh, you read them in the story, remember?
Have you guys heard of some of those words before?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some more challenging words that kind of help us tell a story because you can really tell what's happening. Like if you use previously, you know something happened before, and bark's kind of a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, Grace, Kalia. Have you guys ever heard of the word embark before?
And black.
I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever used it when I'm talking.
My dog.
We don't normally use that word.
My dog uses it.
Okay, so I'm gonna read a story, and it's called The Real Story of Stone Soup. And I know we talked about Stone Soup earlier, so this might help you out a little bit later on. But listen, after this, you're gonna get cards. You're gonna get 5 cards, and you're gonna have to retell me the story. The cards are first, then, next, after, and finally. You have to order them correctly, and then on the back you're gonna draw pictures of how the story went. Okay? So make sure you pay attention while I'm reading. Okay? So the real story of stone soup. By now you have probably heard the old folk tale about stone soup. A hungry soldier tricked some stingy villagers into making him a big pot of soup. The truth is that stone soup was invented here in China, and without any sly tricks. Here's the real story.
Like the real story of the listening.
Yeah, it's kind of like when we read The Three Little Pigs, but this is the real story of stone soup. It all began when I hired those troublesome Chang brothers to help me on my fishing boat. Nice boys, but lazy, and I'm sorry to say, somewhat stupid. The only good thing is I could get away with not paying them very much. Even with 3 of them, I did most of the work, and I kept the hardest job for myself. I steered the boat. One summer day, after a full morning of fishing, I decided to stop early for lunch. Time to eat, boys, I yelled, dock the boat. After the Chang brothers got the boat tied up, my work really began. Those boys were too dull to know what to do. Ting, gather firewood. Pong, prepare the cooking pot and clean the fish. Kai, get some fresh water. The cooking pot isn't here, interrupted Ting, the oldest, a troublemaker. He always talked back to his elders. What do you mean the pot isn't here? Where is it? They looked at one another and shrugged.
Pot is there.
You boys forgot the cooking pot? How could you? I asked. It's your pot, said Ting. You should have remembered to bring it. Those stupid potato heads. What were we to do now? Pong, the middle one, and the most well-mannered of the 3, tried to apologize. Sorry, Uncle. We left in a hurry this morning, and we... Kai, the youngest, interrupted. We don't really need a cook in a pot. We don't really need a pot to cook lunch, he whispered something to his brothers. Kai is always full of silly ideas. How are we supposed to cook lunch? I asked. With a hole in the ground? Those crazy boys must have thought I meant it. No sooner than the words left my mouth than they started digging a hole in the sandy beach. Have you guys ever cooked lunch in a hole in some sand?
Yeah.
Oh, the sand will get in it.
Can't say I've done it either. Those crazy boys... Oh, wait. What are you doing? I asked. Cooking lunch, of course, said Kai. He began to line the hole with banana leaves. Meanwhile, Ting and Pong started a huge fire next to the hole. Now we need some stones, said Kai. For what? I asked. Kai didn't answer. He picked up a nearby rock and held it to his ear. This is a fish stone, he announced. He threw the rock in the fire. Come now, I said. Even you can't be foolish enough to believe. Shh, Ting interrupted, holding a stone to his ear. I need to hear what it is telling me. Aha! This is a fine vegetable stone. He tossed his rock into the fire, too. I tried listening to a couple of stones. I didn't hear a thing. The hunger must have gone to their heads. If you're so clever, what kind is this? I handed a stone to Pong. He listened for a moment. Aha! Uncle, you are so brilliant. You picked out a yummy egg stone. He pitched my stone into the fire, but I had no idea what he was blabbering about. But by this time, I was hungry enough to eat anything, even stones. We need something to carry water from the river to eat soup with, said Kai. Oh, Uncle, said Pong, could you use your mighty axe to make some bowls from bamboo stalks? Ayo, I grumbled. I have to do all the work, as always. But it was true that none of them could be trusted with my sharp axe. With a few quick chops, I made 4 bowls from a thick stalk. The boys used them to fill the hole with water. I shook my head at them. Now we have a puddle and a fire. How do you expect to get the water over the fire? I asked. Leave that to us, said Ting. Uncle, you made the best bowls in the village with nothing more than an axe, said Pong. Could you use your graceful knife to make some chopsticks to go with them? Ayo, I cried. You lazy boys want me to do all the work. Nevertheless, I carved out some chopsticks. Unlike the Chang brothers, I wasn't stupid enough to eat hot stones with my fingers. When I finished, I gave each boy a pair of my skillfully carved chopsticks. How long does it take to cook the stone? How long does it take the stones to cook? I worried that the stones might burn like potatoes. Then I couldn't believe what those crazy boys did next. With long sticks, Ting picked out a stone of hot fire, and instead of offering it to his elder first, he held it before Kai and Palm. They didn't eat it, though. They whispered to it, "You, fish, fish, fish," and blew on it. Then Ting dropped the stone into the hole. Sploosh. Ayo, I yelled. Bubbles of steam shot off the stone as if it sank to the bottom. The steam carried a wonderful fish smell. I saw pieces of fish floating in the soup. Those boys had told the truth. It really was a fish stone. My stomach purred like a kitten. Kai gently stirred the soup. This is turning into a tasty soup. If only we had a little salt, it would be a soup fit for a schoolmaster. Ting, I said, get the salt off the boat. It's your salt, you get it, Ting said rudely. I was too hungry to teach him good manners, so I went to get the salt. As I returned with the salt, Ting picked up a second stone and held it before his brothers. Kai, 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 they whispered, the word for vegetables 3 times, and blew on the stone. Ting dropped it into the soup. Shoosh! More steam leaped into the air. Surprisingly, I smelled vegetables. The aroma was so yummy, my stomach growled like an angry tiger. Kai stirred the soup again and sprinkled a little salt. This is a wonderful vegetable stone. If only we had a little sesame oil, this would be a soup fit for an emperor, said Kai. Just a moment, I cried. I'll be back with the sesame oil. When I returned with the sesame oil, Ting was holding up the last stone. All 3 boys yelled, Dan, 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 egg, egg, egg. Then they each blew hard on the stone one at a time. Why are you shouting at that stone, you potato heads? I asked. Egg stones don't hear very well, said Ting. He dropped the stone into the soup. Shroom. The hot stone brought the soup to a wild boil. I couldn't believe it when I saw threads of egg float to the top. A luscious fragrance filled the air. Even the monkeys came closer to get a whiff. Kai drizzled in the sesame oil, more delectable smells, but by now I was sure the sounds from my hungry stomach could be heard back in the village. Finally, Ting did something right. He filled one of the bamboo bowls with soup and served me, his elder, first. I could hardly wait to taste it. I lifted the steaming bowl to my lips and took a sip. Hachi, hachi. Tastes good, tastes good. I must tell you that I have never tasted such a wonderful soup. The fish from the stone was tender and fresh. The wild mushroom and onion from the vegetable stone were flavorful. The threads of egg from the egg stone were cooked just right. Thanks to the bowls and chopsticks I had made, now the boys could enjoy the soup too. The rest of the afternoon they were happy, even worked a little harder. Not harder than me, of course. From that day on, I always carried rocks in my pockets and told everyone the secret of making stone soup. I even demonstrated how to whisper to fish and vegetable stones, and how to yell at the egg stones. But the truth is, I still haven't had time to make it. You know, I worked too hard already. And that, my friends, is how I invented the real stone soup.
You didn't.
I don't know how people ended up with that silly old folktale.
Look, that's a duck right there.
Yep.
He used his duck to eat it.
Okay, so what happened in this story? We'll go over it real quick. Jaden?
First, there was these Chinese or Japanese people, that were like going for lunch since they had to work.
Yeah.
And the guy that worked harder than all the others, the other guys, like, they forgot to bring the bowl, so they dig the hole, they put water in it, and then they put buttes in it first, so the sand wouldn't get in it. And then they found rocks and like put it by their next they found rocks and put it in her, and then they cooked the rocks because they thought they were true that they knew that there were like vegetables and stuff. Then,
Just imagine. Christian, you want to help him out now?
then, what was it?
Cook the rocks.
So they were cooking the rocks, and then, the second rock was the egg rock. No.
That was the last rock.
What was the first one?
The first one was the fish.
The fish, and then
Then the
vegetables,
and then the egg.
and then the egg.
And at last the guy is very friendly. He tried it and he almost regretted it, and so he just took and he said it tastes like fish, and then it tasted like veggies, give it flavorful, and then the egg was just cooked right.
And did he like the soup? Yes.
Wait, lastly he tasted.
And
So,
And last, then
just a minute. Okay, so we're about to go back to our seats, and I'm gonna hand you 5 cards.
But-
And yeah, everybody's gonna get 5, and you're gonna put them in order, and then you will get out colored pencils, and you are gonna pick 5 events that happened in this story, and you're gonna draw a picture of it. And obviously, you're not gonna be able to draw everything that happened in here, so just pick 5 of your favorite, but make sure they're in order. So I should be able to tell when I get the cards back the correct order based on the words, and then I should be able to turn it over and be able to tell how the story went. Okay? Does that make sense?
yes.
Are there any questions?
Rock.
Yeah.
Not yet. Of course. Okay, so let's go back to our seats.
Okay.
And I'll help you with the document camera too.
Cleo.
Yeah, quickly. Yeah.
Kristen had a question.
Yeah, quickly.
I can use yellow. Do you want us to use one or more?
You can use more.
You have to use one. No, you can use more. Yeah.
Okay, so they're like
I'm using yellow. Yellow on a hot dog. Yellow.
they're like flipped.
I got
So
you.
I have
got you. Yeah.
Yellow on a hot dog. Red on a hot dog. Red. Ooh. After. Next. Then. First. And finally. After. First, then, next, after. After, finally.
Wait, I think finally.
Jinx! Double jinx!
I I only got 4.
You only got 4?
Okay.
Okay. For Josh, finally I gave you his
Okay.
I also got 4.
David doesn't have
No,
it.
you didn't.
Do you have some here? David doesn't have it.
It's final. You just had it.
Yeah.
You just had it.
Oh, it's in his desk. After.
Okay, does everybody have cards?
Yes.
Okay, so
You keep talking about.
the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna put them in the correct order.
First. What did you do?
And there are different ways that you can do it, like next and then, or necessarily like you can put it can be next and then, or it can be then and then next, and then it can be after. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take once you have them in the right order that you like,
Then.
you're gonna flip them over.
Then.
I'll wait for you guys to get them in the right order, and then we'll keep going.
Final.
Okay, so now we'll right order.
Put it after.
Put them in the right order.
First, next, then.
Oh, but I.
First, then, after.
This one is next.
First, next, after. I'll make it down.
Hey, Derek,
Then, after.
what are we supposed to be doing?
Finally, then, after. First.
That's backwards.
Well, like this. First,
You got it in
then,
order?
after, then, finally.
Okay. So, what are the only two cards that have to be in the right spot?
First.
First and finally. First has to be the very first card, and finally should be the very last card. So what you're gonna do now is you can get out some colored pencils or crowns and just flip them over to the back and draw your picture. And you're gonna retell the story through pictures. Yeah. You can use a pencil. Do you remember what happened in this story? At all? Were you listening? No, you just draw a picture.
First, you make your ground. Which to hold. No. Wait. No. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay.
Nice quickly.
I'm actually hurrying.
Where were they going?
It would be a lot faster if you drew a pencil versus a color.
I'm just gonna
First,
Yeah, just a picture, not something else.
they came to judge.
Oh, we're gonna let you
first, then, after, next, and finally.
Custody and cash. No, so he's gonna quickly, because everybody else is gonna be done and you have to get started.
I'm already finished. I'm just looking right now.
Look at Josh.
Is that your first one?
That's the first one.
Okay. Do the next one.
Then we're gonna be making plays.
Where's the next?
You're an alien. There you go. They're ball. I made a ball.
First,
Hey,
blue for the water.
yeah.
Then, orange for the fire. Body.
First, then
Are you sure?
I'm hungry.
I need to put hungry. This one's not sure yet. No. How is it last?
The leaves.
No, these are already chocolate. These are already chocolate. We need to find a different one of these.
You need to go to your sleep. You need to go to your sleep. You have enough.
Oh, and sand is everywhere. Sand's on the Didn't you say that? I'm Hindi.
Hash.
Is this your crab face?
Ginormous X.
I'm making a crab on the little jars. What?
Sounds like you said that.
Okay, then you walk it. Look at my crab. Look at my crab. Finished. Blue. Now brown for the stone. And also for the sticks.
These ginormous muscles.
Alright, we'll give you a couple more minutes to finish up your pictures.
Dan.
They don't have to be super detailed.
Mine are. You're hungry?
No, it doesn't have to be colored.
But you're sitting there refusing, so
There, Mr. Josh, I'm done.
Finished?
Yeah.
don't have nothing down yet.
No, that's in the action.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to add more detail.
First, they made stuff. Then they put the leaves, and then they made the fire. Then they put 2 stones. Okay, this one. And then they put the leaves, and then they made the fire. Then they put the stone in, then they put the second stone. 2 stone, and then they put the 3rd stone. And then they ate it. They ate a stone here that was not hardly boiled. Look at my hands. Boiled like no dehydrated. For 1,000 years. Look at him. That should be his hair enough.
Okay,
No, I got one too. No.
so you're going to take your cards and put them in order. The top card should be first, and the last card should be what?
Finally.
What's the last card?
Finally.
Finally. So stack them up and write your name on the top card.
I don't even have question time. Can we just push our write our initials?
No, write your full name. You can write your full name. You're in 3rd grade.
Mine is on.
You have to write on the front or back. Front or back, Mr. Josh. Front or back.
Front. I want it on the front.
Flip, 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 flip. Done. Then after next finally. Okay.
Look, Ava. Look at his hair.
It looks like a slinky.
Okay, stack up your cards.
First, that's his hair. Then,
Now look at his hair.
are we done?
He's a girl.
Well, he's a she slash he slash she. Are you done? Stop.
Are you done?
Yeah, no.
Okay, when you have
Yeah, I'm
them,
done.
stacked up, give it to one of the teachers, and we'll collect them.
He has a mustache. Yeah, I give him a mustache.
One of them has
So first, next.
You're not forgetting this is my seat. So I just got up.
Okay, Josh.
You got them?
I'm so hungry. And then you got the dig in the hole. I can hear. And then you have the hair. And then you got mustache. And then throw in the water. Okay, there you go. Mustache. I went like this. Straight. Curl.
So annoying.
Yeah, you are.
Curl. Straight. Curl. Let's go to jail. Just raise your hand. Don't say right. Torture. Yeah. It's not a nice way.
Okay.
That's the code.
And a hush go over the room.
Not girl. Nice police. What?
Okay, we have one last thing to do.
No.
Is it fun?
No, it's boring.
Oh man.
You have to write.
What? Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Oh yeah, you are.
It's a squirrel and a bird and another bird.
I'll tell you what it is.
It is.
Yeah, look at the top first.
Look at another bird.
Look at the top.
Oh, they're fishing.
If you can hear me, touch your nose. If you can hear me, touch your shoulders. Okay, this is the last thing we have to do today. Alright, everybody's eyes up here. So just like in the beginning, we had those 4 pictures and we had to write a story. We're going to do the same thing. But what are our 4 pictures?
Birds,
And mountains. So we're going to be able to write a fun story. And a hush fell over the room. Hey guys, I'm trying to explain what we're about to do. It's really disrespectful when I have to scream just to hear my own voice. Okay, so we're gonna write our own story. We need to use our basic sequencing words, which are like first, next, then, and then I want you to try to use 2 of the new words we used today. I want people to raise their hands and tell me what the new words that we used today were. What's one of the new words that we used today? Embark. Finally wasn't one. Occasionally.
Embark means begin.
What? What's another word? Jaden, what was another word we learned? Previously? What's another one? Jaren. What's the other one? What was another one? What was the word that meant happening right now? Present.
President
Presently.
Donald Trump.
Presently. And the last one was? Eventually.
Eventually is what
Okay, so you have about 5 to 8 minutes to write your own story. All you
Do
need
we
is
have to
like
write those?
no. These are just up here so you know how to spell them when you want to use them.
Do we have to use that?
I want you to try to use at least 2 of them.
Can we use one?
You know
I don't use one.
you can use more if you want to,
Can you
but
write on the right side what the app actually means?
yeah, I will.
Like equal.
Hey Jaren, can you sit up for me? Okay, so you have like 5 minutes. Use these 4 pictures right here, the bird, the squirrel, the nuts, and the mountains to write a short story. And then I want you to try to use your basic sequencing words and try to use 2 of these, if you can. Okay? You got like 5 to 8 minutes. So let's work hard.
No, I am. What is that? In the beginning? A squirrel was hungry, so he went to get some nuts. I don't have to put that.
Jaren,
I can't do this.
come with me.
No! I'm not doing it. I can't do it. No, I can't do it.
We're going to do it now, or we're going to do it later?
Later. I can't do it now. Get away from the pencil sharpener. It's like the ideology pencil. Yeah, they are. Not.
You have a question? Raise your hand.
Are not. They are. A-R-E. A-R-E. No, you're trying to make me say are not.
Where in the very
I just said are. Yeah, haha. Are. He says the pencil over there. There's no sharp pencil over there. What are those? Shut.
You're doing good.
I got 2 words for you. Be quiet.
I got 2 words for you. You are not.
What?
You are not.
I got 2 words for you.
Weirdo.
No, I have 3 words.
That's 3. I got. Yeah, you are a bully.
I said 3.
You said 2. 2. I got 2.
I got 2 or 3. You're rude.
I got 3.
I'm not your mom.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Snack Crumble Pop.
Everybody here stop.
Okay, so it is time for specials right now. So everybody leave their paper on their desk and their pencil on their desk, and we're gonna line up at the door. And we'll have like 5 minutes when we get back to finish these. Okay? Okay, thank you guys.
Were you taking a video?
I want to go orange.